The Canadian Grand Prix was supposed to be Ferrari's opportunity to prove that their ambitious project was still on track. Instead of showing unity and strength, however, the world witnessed a slow but real disintegration. Lewis Hamilton dismantled Ferrari's data not with words, but with irrefutable telemetry. Has Hamilton's data exposed Ferrari's flaws? Let's discuss, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button. After the Canadian Grand Prix, Ferrari was left speechless by the data. Scattered across Hamilton's SF25's digital footprint, every sector time, braking zone, and throttle pattern conveyed one undeniable message. Lewis Hamilton wasn't just rivaling Charles Leclerc, he was outperforming him in every way that mattered. They were driving cars with identical specifications. They both had access to the same resources, analytical tools, and opportunity to fine-tune their setups. But the reality on the track told a different story. In crucial corners like turns 7 and 10, Hamilton braked a few meters later, turned the wheel more precisely, and exited the corners with cleaner traction. This advantage wasn't born of luck or technical experimentation. Rather, it was the result of racing sense, complete control over grip limits, and the instincts of a true world champion. Hamilton demonstrated technical and psychological dominance, not just a split-second advantage. He wasn't just fast, he was completely at one with the SF25, using it as a tool to pass, set the pace, and take the lead. It all started in the first free practice session of a high-pressure weekend. The two Ferrari drivers, Charles Leclerc and Lewis Hamilton, took to the track with high expectations. However, from the beginning, the cameras and telemetry data revealed something unusual: imbalance. Leclerc was struggling. The rear of his car was wild and uncontrollable. Every time he entered a corner, the car felt unstable, and when he tried to exit at full throttle, it seemed to lose grip. He was fighting for grip, not his opponent. In contrast, Hamilton, who was still, in theory, adapting to the SF25, seemed calm. His braking movements were precise, and his throttle input seemed to blend with the asphalt. Leclerc's troubles increased when he had to pull over from FP2 due to a sudden inspection of his car's survival cell. This technical setback added to his mental burden. For Leclerc, this was like losing irreplaceable time. But for Hamilton, it was an opportunity to perform better without pressure from his own team. The second free practice session was supposed to be routine, an opportunity for evaluation and improvement. However, that afternoon in the Ferrari garage, everything changed. Charles Leclerc could only watch from behind the monitor while Lewis Hamilton commanded the attention of the engineering team. The incoming telemetry data silenced the room for a moment. Hamilton's cornering speed was precise, his ERS management was nearly flawless, and he maintained stability when braking in the tight Montreal corners. What initially looked like an ordinary adaptation session turned into an open declaration. Hamilton had something he had not yet shown the world. The engineers began looking at each other and whispering. Not just admiration, but also growing concern. "He's not just fast," one of them whispered. "He's building something much bigger. We may be too late to realize it." Sometimes, the truth doesn't need to be shouted, it can be seen in the numbers. Such was the case in the Ferrari garage after the second free practice session, FP2, at the 2025 Canadian Grand Prix. Ferrari's technical team stared at the monitor in silence. It wasn't because they didn't understand, it was because the data that emerged was too clear to deny. The numbers revealed a fundamental difference between their two drivers, Charles Leclerc and Lewis Hamilton. It wasn't just their driving style, it was their absolute effectiveness in conquering the car and the circuit. The first difference in braking was immediately obvious. In challenging corners like turns 3 and 6, Hamilton could brake 3 to 4 meters later than Leclerc, a significant distance in the world of F1, where it can mean the difference between first and second place. More surprising still, even though Hamilton braked later, his car remained perfectly stable, as if he had extra space and time that other drivers didn't. As we move into the corner rotation area, the data shows that Hamilton uses 11% less steering input variation than Leclerc. This is more than just a statistic. It's a sign that Hamilton is not fighting his car, he is one with it. The car becomes an extension of him rather than a tool to be controlled by force. The result is smoother, more efficient movements and a much quicker exit from the corner. The difference is even more dramatic in the throttle and traction department. At the turn 10 hairpin, the slowest but most crucial point in terms of acceleration, Hamilton can get on the accelerator 0.5 seconds earlier than Leclerc. He accomplishes this with a barely perceptible steering correction, demonstrating his precise understanding of his car's traction limits. The ERS, Energy Recovery System, strategy is also in the spotlight. After missing FP2, Leclerc had to run the session with a less aggressive backup strategy. In contrast, Hamilton stuck to the aggressive setup that had been thoroughly tested in the simulator before the weekend began. The results were clear. In Sector 3, the most technical and difficult section of the circuit, Hamilton consistently outpaced Leclerc by an average of 0.28 seconds per lap. In qualifying and the race, this difference can be significant. Finally, tire management is a crucial but often overlooked aspect in Canada. On a circuit that is notoriously hard on tires, Hamilton demonstrated impressive control. He kept the surface temperature of his tires within a stable range of 3 degrees, ensuring even heat distribution and optimal grip. Meanwhile, Leclerc faced a temperature difference of up to 7 degrees, especially in Sector 1, which eroded the left front tire quickly. This difference directly impacted long-term performance and the efficiency of pit stop strategies. All of this data culminated in Q3. The performance gap between the two Ferrari drivers was no longer just a matter of different driving styles. Lap times were a silent testament to its depth. In technical sectors such as turns 7 and 8, Hamilton was up to 6 km per hour faster. He demonstrated incredible efficiency with light but precise steering inputs and balanced weight distribution throughout the corner. This advantage didn't appear suddenly, but rather accumulated over time. Every detail, from braking and acceleration to car rotation, contributed to a growing gap. The end result was undeniable. Hamilton was more than 0.6 seconds quicker in a single qualifying lap. For two drivers in the same car, that's a striking number, almost as if they're from different worlds. Meanwhile, Leclerc seemed to be trying to make up for the deficit with an aggressive approach. He entered corners earlier and tried to open the throttle sooner, forcing the car to do more than it could handle. However, this approach was counterproductive, resulting in more steering corrections, rear-end instability, and lap times that fell further and further below expectations. It was a stark contrast between the calm that produces speed and the restlessness that loses it. Most surprising of all, Lewis Hamilton didn't request a single setup change all weekend. There were no complaints over the radio and no lengthy discussions in the paddock. He didn't rely on the mechanics to fine-tune his car. He relied on his racing instincts, experience, and an intuitive intelligence that can't be taught. The difference between Hamilton and Leclerc isn't found in car specs or software. It lies in something more fundamental: brains, feet, and fingertips. Hamilton doesn't just drive faster, he turns that speed into a lethal weapon, said one Ferrari engineer, speaking on condition of anonymity. And that's what makes the difference. What happened in Montreal was more than an impressive performance by a 7-time world champion. It signaled a subtle yet palpable shift in power within Ferrari. A team that had been built to support Charles Leclerc for years now had a veteran who could not only match the young star's pace but also systematically outpace him. One big question: has Lewis Hamilton quietly taken over Ferrari? Or will Charles Leclerc rise up and reclaim the throne that was always believed to be his? Write your opinion below.